Today we will study the Cula Gopalaka Sutta. Okay, now the keyword here is Gopalaka. Now, go is cow, cattle. Pala means take care, protect. So ka here is an agent noun and someone who does something. Gopalaka means cowherd. I have a friend, his name, when I was in primary school, his name was Gopala, or Gopal, I got it short. Huh? So Gopalaka is a cowherd. Sutta here means teaching, right? So the different scholars have thought that this sutta comes from Sanskrit sukta. It's more like something connected, teaching, but it also can mean thread if you get another way. And chula here means lesser, smaller. Opposite is maha. Once you see chula, that means you know there is another sutta, the maha, the longer version. This is the shorter version. So it's called the Lesser Discourse on the Cowherd, M34. So it is from Majjhima Nikaya, but it's a short sutta, it's not very long. And the theme is wisely keeping to the gradual way. So here the Buddha reminds us with a very beautiful parable of how a clever cowherd brings his herd across the river. And of course, contrasted with the foolish cowherd who loses all his cows because he doesn't know the river well. So this is about the gradual way. Let's look at the sutta first, and then I will see what needs to be explained. I will explain to you. Right. Let's go down to the sutta. Here we are. Cula Gopalaka Sutta, the Lesser Discourse on the Cowherd, M34. This page here, this number 225 in the square brackets, it means is the Pali page number. Okay? Pali page number. If you look right at the top of the page, you see the volume also. This is a volume 1, page 225 of the Pali text, in case you want to compare with the Pali. Thus have I heard. At one time, the Blessed One was staying on the banks of the river Ganges at Ukkacelā in the Vajjī country. There he addressed the monks thus, "Bhikshus." "Bhante," they replied. The Blessed One said this, "Bhikshus, there was once a foolish Magadha cowherd who, in the last month of the rains in the autumn, without examining the near side or the far side of the river Ganges, drove his cattle across the river to the other shore, or the far in Videha country, where there was no ford. Then now this is the result. Okay, then the cattle huddled together midstream in the river Ganges, and they met with calamity and disaster. So here we see this. The Buddha starts off with someone. This cow is not very wise. He doesn't know the time of the year when there'll be a lot of water in the river. So he thinks that, okay, that's the usual place he's going to cross, or that's a good place where he crosses over like that. But there's a lot of water there, and the current is strong, and he chases all this, the whole herd into the water, and this poor cattle doesn't know what to do, so they just stand in the middle of the river, huddled together, and then the water washes them away, and they're all lost. That's rather sad, isn't it? So, why was that? Asked the Buddha. Because bhikshus, that foolish Magadha cowherd, in the last month of the rains in the autumn, without examining the near side or the far side of the river Ganges, drove his cattle across to the other shore in the Videha country, where there was no ford. A ford is a shallow part of the river where people normally will walk across. The water is not very deep. Yeah? So here, if you see this italics, it means it's a repeated, exact repetition of the previous paragraph or previous section. Okay, right. So here's the parable, and then you see so too. Then this so too, the Buddha connects this parable to what he's going to teach. So too, bhikshus, there are those recluses and brahmins. There are religious people, recluses as well as brahmins. These are the two big groups in Buddha's time. The recluses practice on their own, they reject the Vedas. The brahmins, they have their own scripture called Vedas and rituals and so on. So they are unskilled in this world and the other world. So they don't know about the nature of this world, the nature of other worlds. Unskilled in Māra's realm and what is outside of Māra's realm. Unskilled in the realm of death and what is outside the realm of death. In other words, how to get out of death, how to attain nirvana. Those who think they should listen to them and have faith in them. So they are not skilled in wisdom and teaching, but they think people should listen to them. These are the gurus, lots of them today. It will be for their harm and suffering for a long time, both sides, the teacher as well as those who listen to them, because they're not very helpful. Right, so now the Buddha goes on to this happy note on the wise cowherd. Let's look at the wise cowherd. Go further down, please. Yeah. Right, so here the Buddha says, bhikshus, there was once a wise cowherd who in the last month of the rains in the autumn, after examining the near side and the far side of the river Ganges, go further down, drove his cattle, further down, yeah, drove his cattle across the river to the far shore in the Videha country, where there was a ford. Right, so this wise cowherd, he looks very carefully that the water is shallow in that part of the river, and you're able to walk. Maybe the water just goes up to the level of your knees, maybe, because the part is a bit sandy. And so what does he do now? He doesn't send the whole herd down. This is the part, this is the most important part of the parable. He made the bulls, the sires, and herd leaders enter first. And they breasted the Ganges currents and got safely across to the far shore. Now this word breasted is very interesting. It's because they move with their front in the water. So the word breast, the noun, it becomes a verb here. That means they move ahead, pushing the chest pushing against the waters. So here, the first group are the bulls, which are strong. The sires, these are the bulls that give birth, that mate with the female, with the cows. And the herd leaders, these are the real big bulls. So they go first. Why? Because when they go, the others will follow. So they are strong, so they go first, they lead. Then he made the strong cattle and the cattle to be tame and turn next. Right. So here you find the younger ones that they're strong enough, and there are a few young ones still playful, they need to be tame, And they too breasted the Ganges currents and got safely across to the far shore. He made the heifers and the young oxen enter next. Right? Heifers are those cows not yet given birth, and then you got the young oxen, the male cows or buffaloes, and they move next to the water, and they too breasted the Ganges currents and got safely across to the far shore. And this part is very nice, that he made the cows and the feeble cattle enter next, for the weaker ones, the smaller ones. And they too breasted the Ganges currents and got safely across to the far shore. There was once, okay, here is where the Buddha adds kind of a note, right? We don't notice this. If you read quickly, you will notice this. He says, there was once a tender calf, newly born, being urged on by its mother's lowing. It too breasted the Ganges currents and got safely across to the far shore. Right? So you see, if you read the sutta too fast, or the sutta gets summarized in modern language, and and all these nice parts get cut off, no? You lose it. So here, a tender calf, newly born, urged on by its mother, right? So this, imagine, you got to imagine this one. The mother cow is there, it's kind of pushing the little calf by its lowing. Lowing is the mooing of the cow. So the mother makes this soft sound, and this tender calf follows the mother, and it learns to go across the river, follow the rest. Notice this is the last group, the smallest, the weakest, youngest. So they all safely went across the waters of the Ganges. The Ganges is, of course, the biggest river in India. And why is that? Asked the Buddha. Because bhikshus, that wise Magadha cowherd, in the last month of the rains in the autumn, after examining the near side and the far side of the river Ganges, drove his cattle across to the other shore in the Videha country at a place where there was a ford. So there is this shallow part of the river where it is safe to cross. So this is where the cowherd knows this is very wise, so the animals are safe. In fact, in ancient India, the cows are a measure of wealth. If you have lots of cows, you are regarded as wealthy. So you can produce milk, right? And make all kinds of products with milk, make cheese and so on. Right, so that is the parable, and then the Buddha uses this parable to explain the Dhamma. So too bhikshus, as to those recluses and brahmins who are skilled in this world and the other world, skill in Māra's realm and what is outside Māra's realm, skill in the realm of death and what is outside the realm of death. I notice here you have opposites. You know? Now, take this first line, skill in this world and the other world. We can interpret this as, okay, earth, heaven, that's one way, or this life, next life. We can also interpret this as this world we are living in and the happy world we go to if we create good karma, or even nirvana. Now here, Māra's realm is this world, samsara, or outside Māra's realm, when you are in meditation, especially jhana, or when you have attained nirvana. Right? And here again, the realm of death is this world, because in this world people live and they have to die. And then outside the realm of death, that is nirvana, where there's no death. So the Buddha is basically saying suffering and how to get out of suffering. So these recluses and brahmins, they're wise and they know this, they know the Dhamma. Bhikshus, those who think they should listen to them and have faith in them, it will be for their welfare and happiness for a long time. So we follow this teaching, we'll be happy. All right, so the Buddha goes further. And now he compares to those different kinds of cattle, right, to the different practitioners. Look at 6. Right? Let's just go up a bit more, please. Go up a bit more, yes. Okay, so here the first group, bracket 1. Bhikshus, just as the bull sires and herd leaders abreasted the Ganges currents and safely crossed over the far shore, so too bhikshus, those monks who are arahats, with influxes destroyed. Right? Arahats are said to sometimes they are just said those with influxes destroyed. So it's the same word. It means arahats. Kina sawa. There you are. These influxes, as you know, these are the various things that hold us back in samsara, preventing us from awakening. Sensual lust, existence, numerous different kind of lives, one after the other, and then ignorance. Now, those are the 3 ancient triad of asavas. Later, there's a 4th one added, that is views. Just before views is added in as number 3, and then after that you get the last one is ignorance. So this the arahats have destroyed all these influxes. They got influxes because we tend to get distracted by whatever enter into our senses, eye, nose, tongue, body, and mind. They influx through the six senses, and then we create all kind of ideas. Those who have lived a holy life, they completed the training, if you like. They kept the Vinaya, practiced the Dharma, done what has to be done, overcome all the wrong views, corrected the right, practice right views, and so on. Lay down the burden, no more suffering. Okay? So in other words, they are free from suffering. Okay, let's go down further, please. Okay, then reach his own goal, right? Or their own goal. The nuns are included. So meaning here can be stream winning, or once returning, non-returning, or even especially arahathood. In this case, it is arahathood. Yeah? Fully destroyed the fetters of being. Fetters are like chain, a ball and chain of a prisoner. And they're no more held back to be reborn here, reborn there. Okay? Liberated through right knowledge, understanding true reality. Yeah. Because they understand true reality, they're free. That means they have nirvana. By breasting Māra's stream, having safely crossed over to the far shore, right? So here, the stream is personified, or is shown to be connected with Māra, because the stream washes people away. Very strong current. Here, these arahats have safely crossed over the river and reached the far shore. And so these are the strong, the big wolves. Then brackets 2 here, number 7, brackets 2, Bhikshu just as the strong cattle and the cattle to be tamed. And they've crossed the river. So these are like those bhikshus who, with the destruction of the 5 lower fetters, will reappear spontaneously in the pure abodes, and there attain final nirvana without ever returning from that world. By breasting Māra stream, they will safely cross over to the far shore. Now the question is, who are these people? Who are these saints? They're non-returners, but notice in this sutta passage, the word non-returner is not mentioned as a name, but we have only this phrase, without ever returning. So from there we get the word non-returner. Okay, so the strong cattle and cattle to be tamed, the non-returners are compared to them, right? And then you have next group, bhikshus, just as the heifers, like the young cows and the young oxen, breasted the Ganges currents and safely crossed to the far shore. So to bhikshus, those bhikshus who, with the utter destruction of the 3 fetters, let me just make a note here. Now, the 3 fetters are self-view, doubt, and attachment to rituals and vows. So once these are broken, no, sorry, this one, yeah, if they're broken, it becomes tremendous. But in this case, they not only break the 3 fetters, they also diminish, weaken the 3 roots: lust, hate, and delusion. So these are the once returners, right? So here in this case, it is top down. You start with the arahats, and the once returners, after returning to this world, only one more time, will make an end of suffering. By breasting Māra stream, will safely cross over to the far shore. So here we get the teaching of the 4 saints, beginning with the arahat. Now the third, the next group, bhikshus, just as the calves and the feeble cattle breasted the Ganges current, crossed over to the far shore, so too those bhikshus, with the destruction of the three fetters, are stream winners. So they're called stream winners because they have joined the stream, which is this stream imagery is very interesting. They don't actually follow the flow of the river. I mean, if we want to think of another famous imagery, it is called going against the stream, against the current. So they're going to the stream, but they're going upstream against the current, right? They're going upstream to nirvana. So they're stream winners in that sense. No longer bound for the lower world. That is why we need to aspire for stream winning. So once you aspire for stream winning, you attain that stage, you will not fall into any of the lower worlds, the Preta world, animal world, Asura world, or the hell beings stage. Sure of going across self-awakening by breasting Māra stream, they too will get across to the far shore. Here, once again, I want to remind you of the Anicca Chakku Sutta 25.1, S25.1, where the Buddha reminds us it's not difficult at all to practice, to gain stream winning in this life itself. To constantly reflect on impermanence, no matter how busy you do, you can do this. Go on reflecting on this. Because as we grow old, if we reflect on this, it becomes more natural to us on impermanence. And when we lose something, we say, don't worry, all this impermanence. When we gain something, we say, don't think too much, all this is impermanent. So we have that moderator inside us, this idea. And as we age, this idea is clearer to us. So the Buddha says you will attain stream winning in this life itself. If not, definitely at the moment of passing away, the last thought will help you cross over to follow the stream. So within 7 lives at the most, you attain stream winning. So if you keep thinking arahat, becoming arahat is difficult, stream winning is really easy in that sense. You need to aspire, you need to want to be free from suffering. You do this, yeah? And with that, you will overcome the 3 fetters. Overcome self-view, meaning you do not have this view that this body, I am this body, or I am my feelings, or you identify with your perception or your karma or with consciousness. You just understand all these 5 aggregates, what your body and mind, they're all changing all the time. And so you understand that. So when you're sick, you also know all these things are conditions, and the pain will come, the pain will go. So you feel quite safe and happy in that sense. All right. So this is the stream winner. This is the practice for us. So remember, this passage 9 is very important for you as a lay person. All right. All right. Now let's go next. I think section 10. Right here. Here 5, bracket 5. Bhikshus, just as the tender calf newly born, being urged on by its mother, also breasted the Ganges currents and safely crossed over to the far shore. So too bhikshus, those bhikshus who are truth followers and faith followers, by breasting Māra stream, they too will safely cross over to the far shore. Okay, this part is really good, really inspiring people. And say, if you think that, oh, you know, it's so difficult to practice, to get to the path, don't think like that. That's wrong view. That is hindering view. That's stunting you, preventing you from growing. Why think like that? Here, truth followers are those who are intelligent, who are intellectual. They want to know the proof. They say, how do you know impermanence? So they'll study the suttas very carefully, right? So these are the truth followers, sometimes translated as Dhamma followers. Okay, the faith followers, they have faith. They say, "Oh, the Buddha said everything is permanent. Okay, I'll accept that, and I practice it." And there's nothing wrong in this because everything is impermanent. No matter what religion you are, you can't say it's not impermanent. That's false. You see. So long as you want to know the truth, true reality, by questioning, seeking right answers, or you say, "Well, I'm quite happy to accept it by faith. I know impermanence to be true, suffering to be true." Right? Of course, non-self is a bit difficult, but still, I think I can accept it. Then you're a faith follower, right? So these two terms can mean in a simple way those kind of people, or they can also refer to these different types of stream winners who, according to the Anicca Cakku Sutta, again, how they accept the Buddha's teaching and then become stream winners. So there are different ways we can win the path. So don't think it's only Abhidharma or some other deep teachings. This simple practice of seeking the truth, or just have faith that impermanence is true, suffering is true, and then you work from there. You live your life by being kind to people, because you know other people also suffer impermanence, they have suffering. So you show your kindness by keeping the precepts. Right, so now the Buddha saying, "I'm teaching you because I know all these things. I'm not just making it up." 11. Bhikshus, I am skilled in this world and in the other world. Skill in Māra's realm and what is outside Māra's realm. Skill in the realm of death and what is outside the realm of death. Those who think they should listen to me and have faith in me, it will be for their welfare and happiness for a long time. Okay? So the Buddha is showing that I know what I'm telling you, I'm teaching all these things, and if you follow, you'll be happy. All right? Now we come to the ending already, and this is the first part. So I'm going to stop here for about 5 minutes, take a break. Don't join us back too late, you'll miss this closing. Okay, so make sure you come back in time, 5 minutes time. Right, so now we come to the closing of the sutta. Now, this is a typical format. You have the sutta teaching and it ends with a verse, like a verse summary, if you like. Notice 12, it says, the narrator says, "This is what the Blessed One said." When the well-gone Sugata has said this, the teacher said further. Now, this sounds a bit like the style of the Udana also. No? Ayang loko para loko, janato supakasito, yancha marena sampatang apatang yancha machuna. Right? So if you know Pali, or to the ancient Indians, this kind of poem is they feel very happy hearing this, and it helps them to remember the teaching. This world and the world beyond are well proclaimed by the one who knows, and that which is within Māra's reach, and that which is out of death's reach. So here in this poem, notice death and Māra are the same. Okay? So Nibbana is outside of death reach, because it's beyond time and space, so to speak. Sabbang lokang abhinyaya sambuddhena pajanata vivattang amata dwarang kemang nibbana patiya. Knowing directly all the world, to the awakened one who understands, open is the door to the death-free. Death-free, of course, is Nibbana, by which Nibbana's safety is reached. Chinnang papimato sotang vidastang vinalikatang pamojja bahula hota kemang patatta bhikkhavo ti. So this T means the quote is ended. Close quote. cut off is the evil one's stream. Evil one is, of course, Māra. Broken up and cleared away. Rejoice then greatly, bhikshus. Rest in the safety one. Right? Safety here again is Nirvana. Okay. So there you are. The Buddha finishes his teaching with a happy note. Sadhu. Okay, so we end here for this sutta. Now, we have.
Thank you, Piya, for the teaching. Now we have our Q&A. Sister Isim, please help take over with the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Rana. Thank you, Brother Piya, for the teaching.
Okay.
The first question from Brother Manya. How not to identify with our own karma? How do we practice it?
Okay, I think this karma is a bit special. No? It's the only thing in the suttas where it is said that it is yours. Karma is yours. Karma is ours. In a sense that you can't really run away from it as long as you're in samsara. As long as you're not awakened, you cannot really run away from it because it will follow you. The only thing we really have, or maybe you can also say the only thing we are. Like normally in language, you say either you have or you are. When we have something, it is something outside, right? But we do sometimes speak of have karma in the sense that, you know, it comes to us. And when you say I am or you are, something inside you, right? So karma is there, either following you or you are acting it. Like right now, you are creating this wonderful good karma, mental karma, and also speech karma. If you ask Dharma questions and then you say happy things. And these are things that will help you grow to be happy and which will help you when you need it. So that's karma. So we don't identify our karma in the sense that we don't say, oh, that's what I am. I'm stuck with that. I cannot change that. That is different. That one is a wrong view with fixed idea, fixed destiny. Okay. That one is wrong. So even with karma, we can say, all right, I've done this because of various conditions. Different conditions arise and then we act accordingly. In a sense, conditions make us do things. Now, if you remember, sometimes you have done something foolish. If you think carefully, you find there are people and situations and your own views that make you do it. So if you want to deepen your wisdom, you examine, okay, what are the conditions that made me do this foolish thing? And then you understand, oh, this is how I was made to do this by all this. That's my karma. So, but I can stop it, I can change it, I can escape it. So in that sense, you have not identified with your karma because this karma is gone. You have let go of this particular karma. But there are other karma which will keep on coming. So we can't really let go of karma until we are awakened. Now, even when you are awakened, even as an arahat, you find you don't create new karma, but certain past karma may ripen. But then the arahats are not afraid of this karma ripening. They face it happily and they just let it go. All right? Okay, I hope that helps clarify things. Any other? Yes.
The next question from Sister Huilin.
Yes.
What is the key message of this sutta? Is it to find the fourth record like the wise cowherd, or the suitable way that one can practice to cross over the stream?
Now, if you look at the pattern of this sutta, you have strong kettles go first, and then the next batch, next batch, next batch. So it's a gradual way. Né? And then after that, the teaching, Dharma teaching is compared to first the arahats, non-returners, once-returners, streamliners, and then those who follow the teaching, right? So there's a bit about the gradual way, in other words. So gradual way means you can follow either the three trainings, Sila, Samadhi, Panya, or you think in terms of the path as a stream winner, the once returner, non-returner, Arahat, right? So we don't think of, oh, you become Bodhisattva right away, something like that. So this Bodhisattva idea in the Mahayana style is not in early Buddhism, because that violates all this idea about stream winner, once returner, non-returner, and Arahat. Okay. Now, what is the gradual way in the three trainings? Three trainings follow the nature of we are made up of body and mind. So the most obvious thing you can see, you can know, can feel is the body, right? So we got to train the body first, because this body is also a social body. We connect with others through the body, with the body. We go out, you need a place to sit in the bus, in the train, and wherever you go, it's the body. And you don't like people pushing you, because your body is violated, right? So the precepts teach us to learn to love and respect this body. That's what the precepts are about. The precepts means we learn to restrain, learn to control our speech, which is part of the body, and also our body as the body, our physical aspect. Like so you find the first three of the 5 precepts are kind of the practice of moral virtue of the body, right? Not to kill, not to steal, not to commit sexual misconduct. That has to do with the body, right? And then the 4th precept is to do with speech, right? So all these 4 precepts have to do with the body and speech. The 5th precept has to do with body as well as with the mind. So that prepares us for the next stage. That is Samadhi, that's Sila, Sikha, training in moral virtue, then Samadhi, Sikha, training in mental concentration. When your precepts are properly grounded, then you don't have to worry. You feel happy, you feel confident, you've done no bad thing intentionally. So now you're able to sit down peacefully, meditate, you clear your mind, so that it becomes calm and clear. Why? Again, for the purpose of gaining wisdom, so that when you look at something, you see it clearly, you don't get confused with all kinds of ideas. So Sila, moral virtue, is the basis for wisdom. Moral virtue and wisdom are the basis for, moral virtue and meditation, concentration are the basis for liberating wisdom. So you got Sila, Samadhi, Panya. So there you can see a kind of gradual development also, right? Sila, you start with moral virtue, and then that helps in your meditation. But then after a while, you find this 3, they kind of interact, just like the Eightfold Path. Although this Eightfold Path is divided into Sila, Samadhi, Panya, you find they interact in practice. But when we teach, we follow the gradual way. Okay? And if you want to reach the path, you have to attain stream winning first. So that's another gradual way. Even arahats attain stream winning first, and they go upstream like that. Okay. Of course, in the case of arahats, they something like they take shortcut, if you like. Okay. Now, I've done this research on the aspiration to Buddhahood and Pachika Buddhahood and Sawakahood. It's very interesting, some of these things I've learned. We read that someone who aspires to be a Buddha will take, very long time, millions, even billions of years to reach the goal, right? That may seem so in words, but the funny thing is, when let's say someone aspires to be a Buddha, and they go through a lot of suffering, and they got to practice perfections, the whole idea actually, although it seems to be a long time, but in reality, they're actually shortening the time of suffering, right? Imagine, compared to the Bodhisattva, the Buddha, the person who is aspiring to Buddhahood, like Gautama when he was not Buddha yet, he may go through a long period, but then those who don't aspire to be Buddha, they suffer even longer. You know what I mean? Right? So when people aspire to Buddhahood, aspire to discipleship, aspire to stream winning, we are actually cutting down the time of suffering. We are shortening samsara. Okay, so it don't say, oh, you know, they're taking such a long time. It appears to be long, but in reality, you compare with those who don't aspire to attain stream winning or Pachika Buddhahood or becoming a Sawaka, becoming one of those disciples of the Buddha who are arahats. They will take even longer time in samsara. Okay, that's a bit of feedback from my latest essay in 62.11, ST 62.11, parts of which I am posting in our Facebook now, for the 8 conditions for aspiring to Buddhahood. Okay, next question, please.
Okay, thank you, Brother Piya. There is no more question in the chat box. Any brother and sister would like to ask your question, you can unmute and ask question now. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I think right now I'd like time to take a family photo, right? All right, let's continue with our questions.
Hello, Brother Piya. Thank you again for your teaching. Victory here.
All right, you too, yes.
So you were talking about the gradual training as, like there are 2 ways. One, which is the usual Sila Samadhi Panya. The other way is, I mean, it's the same way.
Yeah.
But another way of looking at it is more about chipping away at the 10 fetters, right?
Yeah.
You know, as you progress from one area level, the next, it's chipping away at the fetters. So I guess I'm just very curious to find out what's the difference between self-view, which is like the very first level of fetter, and conceit, which is basically the last 5 fetters, which only an arahant is able to overcome.
Right. Okay.
So I'm just very curious. I mean, they seem very related, yet they're so far apart in terms of
very interesting
cultivation.
question. Yeah, very interesting. Well, I like this question. Conceit and self-view. Okay. Now, obviously, there is some self-view in conceit, but conceit is really subtle. It's subtle, and yet, I mean, we talk about subtle. If you have a Mona Lisa, a piece of little black dust on it, I mean, it would be terrible, isn't it? So, okay, let me begin with a simple step first. Self-view is the most common because of evolution, if you like. From being a baby, you see, why does a baby cry? I mean, you can cry middle of the night and wake everybody up because of survival. It is sending out the signal, I need help, I'm hungry, I'm cold, whatever. Right, so the baby is very self-centered because it needs to survive. But as we mature, as we become stronger and wiser, we don't have to disturb others to survive, to prosper. We know what to do. See, so wisdom helps us to let go of this idea of self-centeredness. And then because we let go of the idea of selfishness, self-centeredness, we accept others. Society, family is possible, society is possible, right? So that's why even on a social level, there must be, we must clear ourselves a bit of this self-view so that we don't become selfish beings. Then society is not possible, okay? America is going through this very bad idea of self-view. So if everybody is talking, is not very happy with the situation, and you're going to see disaster coming in very soon in the way the politics are going there. So that is because of self-view on a grand scale, on a political scale. Then what about mana? Mana is this conceit. This is the measuring yourself with others. you have this view about yourself. Oh, I know a lot of Dhamma, you know, maybe I have titles from some university in Sri Lanka. I know Abhidhamma from Myanmar, whatever, etc., etc. And then you look at others, you think that you're better than them. When you may not say it, but that feeling is there. That is conceit. Now, so how does, okay, let's not talk about an arahat yet. A streamer is not fully enlightened yet. So a streamer still has anger, conceit, things like that, but they have their limits. They know when to stop. They are basically kind people. So that's a streamer. Once returner, non-returner, they will still have some conceit. But there again, they will not have hatred like ordinary worldlings. So in the case the arahat is able to overcome this subtle idea of measuring ourselves against others. Even the non-returner has uddacca. Uddacca means restlessness. But then it's a very interesting kind of restlessness. It's called dhammudacca. Dhamma uddacca. Okay? Dhammudacca, meaning Dhamma restlessness. So this non-returner, in fact, they have compassion. Because of compassion, they are moved, they are troubled by others who do not know Dhamma. When this is suffering of others, right, they're troubled. So that's uddacca. So they still have this uddacca. So only the arahat is going to be very calm. You can do anything to the arahat. He's very calm. Okay, it just doesn't bother. All right, right. For example, you know, Sariputta, he has shaven his head very nice and clean. And then this yaksha, very arrogant yaksha, sees him and says, oh, look, shiny head. And I'm going to hit this head. And the other yaksha, his friend, says, you better don't do that. But then he doesn't listen, this person, and this yaksha, he hits Sariputta on the head. But Sariputta doesn't bother. He just behaves as if nothing has happened. You know, of course, to cut a long story short, in the end, he approaches Sariputta and said, don't you know I did this? He said, oh, it's you, said Sariputta. And so this conversation continued, and in the end, he realized he's wrong, he's arrogant, and he begged for forgiveness from Sariputta. So there you see the problem solved. So in the case of the arahat just doesn't have this measuring of others. I'm better than you, or I'm not as good as you, or I'm equal to you. They don't have this kind of measuring tendency. Now, so don't feel guilty if you have this sort of tendency, because you're not even stream winners yet, most of us, as far as I can say. So we do sometimes measure ourselves against others, but important thing is you have to know it. Notice it. Oh yeah, okay, this is conceit, you know, so you know what it is. And then once you know that, you're able to work with yourself. You're not overcome by this kind of weakness. Okay, so self-view is this big thing where you are very self-centered, me first, and so on. Whereas this arrogance, Māra, is measuring yourself against others. It's a bit more subtle. I don't know. Does that help?
Helps a little bit, because my idea of a non-self has always been this whole point that there is no self. It's just a composition of aggregates. So as an anagami,
conditions. That's magic word, yeah.
Right, everything is conditioned, and as an anagami who has actually overcome that factor of a non-self, I just find it a little bit perplexing as to how is it then they could still have conceit.
Okay. Conceit is the idea, just a thought in the head, but you don't have to act on it, you see. So I don't think the non-returner would act on it, although it's just a thought. The thought is there, but I don't think they act on it. That's one more thing we have to consider.
Okay.
Yeah. So even if they do, we're talking about a non-returner, you see. So in a sense, he knows what he's doing because of his wisdom, but it will be rooted in conceit. a little bit. So this is the funny thing about good people, see. They may even have a bit of bad intention, but when they do it, it's like you put one little grain of salt in the water, so you don't notice it. So the effect is still good. That's the big difference, right? Whereas this really evil guy, when he does something good, and if you fall for it, you might get into more trouble than before. So this is the irony of it. You have to watch out. Okay, so this is a parable of the salt grain, right? So here is a psychological description. What happens at the different stages of awakening? Yeah, so we have to consider those things. Yeah, and why those things happen. Basically, because they still think about the Dharma. Because to them, the Dharma is very important, and they want people to study the Dharma, practice, realize, right? Something like that. Only the Arahat has this total equanimity, at peace with everything. Wow, that's the Arahat. That is why the Mahayana degraded Arahat. And I think that's not fair. You should study the basic suttas first, isn't it? All right, any other question?
Yes, Brother Piya, there's a question from Sister Sian.
Yeah, sure.
What's the difference between having the right view of discerning right and wrong and conceit in comparing being better than others?
Sian, can you turn your video on, please? You have video? Okay, that's good. Yeah. Okay, I can only see your forehead. Okay, that's good. Yeah, thank you. Okay, just read the question first, please. Iksim, the question again, please.
Sorry. What's the difference between having the right view of discerning right and wrong and conceit in comparing being better than ours?
Yeah. Okay. This is a difficult question. Huh? Let's say it's easier for me to imagine I'm the one, right? Now, if I know something, let's say, okay, I know so much Dharma, so many suttas, and then I look at someone else, I look at my neighbor, I say, oh, my neighbor knows nothing about suttas. Okay, then if I just laugh like that, it's no problem, you see, right? But if I feel, say, oh, he's good for nothing, I mean, he doesn't know any suttas, right? So if I have any of the roots, that would not be good. If any of the greed, hatred, delusion is present with a thought, then it is wrong. Our mind has all kinds of thoughts coming in. So you just let the thoughts pass, you're all right. As long as you don't nail down the thought and then you put in great hatred, delusion, it doesn't become a formation. There's no formation, no karma is formed. That's why it's called formation. You are safe. You perceive it, sanya, you see this thought coming, all right? You might even feel, okay, you feel happy or not happy about it, that's fine. But you do not direct any greed, hatred, delusion towards it. If you don't direct any greed, hatred, delusion towards it, no sankhara is formed, there's no formation, then no karma is created. It's just a passing thought, all right? So what I suspect is on the higher level, this idea of these non-returners having greed, hatred, delusion, these are passing thoughts. I don't think they have greed, hatred, delusion, all right? So here, the Buddha is an amazing awakened mind, is describing to us all these possibilities in subtle forms, so that psychologists will really love all these details. So we may be right, we may be wrong about the way we are, about how much we know. That is okay. Let's say a teacher compares the students, or the student doesn't know this much, but that's useful because then the teacher is able to teach what the student doesn't know, for example, right? So it's what you do with it. What you do with this difficult situation, but the teacher or the good person uses non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion. The teacher uses loving kindness, compassion or generosity or charity plus wisdom to help. Right. So in this case, it's not measuring. It's not conceit, rather. In a sense, it's a bit of measuring, but it's just a term we use for the teacher to know how much this student knows so that he can help this student. That is different. So context is very important. The way this understanding is used is very important. If the intention is good, the action is good. So that's the basic answer. Okay. All right.
Thank you, Brother Piya.
Yes.
There's no more question in the chat box. Yeah, any brother, sister have last minute question, please ask now. Thank you.
So, Brother Piya, I have another question. If there are no other questions.
Yeah, sure.
Early on, in the sutta, we talk about the triad of asavas.
Yes, that's the old set, yeah.
Right. So is it still 3 asavas or actually 4?
Well, now we know it's 4. So it's I mean, you can say 3 or 4. It doesn't matter, depending on the context of what you're saying, what you're teaching. See? There are good reasons why either the Buddha or the early monks added in the 4th one, because they found that view is convenient to put view in. See? But those 3 are quite sufficient if you want to explain the nature of freeing the mind. We free ourselves from sensual lust, that is, we're no more controlled by the body. And because of that, existence doesn't trouble us. We're not caught in rebirth after rebirth after rebirth as existence. And then ignorance, this last bastion preventing us from awakening, also is removed. All right. So I can't remember where I wrote somewhere about all this, the difference between 3 and 4. But as I said, all this can look up in our Dhamma dictionary. If you want more details, just write to us, or just follow the reference. You look at this footnote 77. You find there are details. The CSD 30.3, 1.4.2 notes. So it's all there. You look there, the answers are there. Because I prepared the SD Sutta Discovery in such a way that it will answer itself. Because I won't be forever around here to answer a question, and I don't think I need to. But there is a way you can locate all these answers. One thing leads to another, and finally it will bring you back to the Tipitaka. Right. So it's a system which is, how shall we say, it connects with the teachings. And ultimately, you go back to the Tripitaka. That is how I have planned the Sutta Discovery. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're slightly past the time. Any last minute quite urgent question? Okay. So shall we end the session then? All right. Let's just sit calmly to close this session. Once again, remember this moment of peace, this moment of renunciation. You notice I like to use this word renunciation, because when we gather here for this study, we are renouncing the world for a short while. We have given up so many things we could do otherwise in the world. But here we are sacrificing our time here, 1.5 hours, just to study the Dhamma, to be at peace with ourselves, keep the precepts, and be in fellowship with other fellow Buddhists in this wonderful global community of Sutta people, Sutta lovers. And this is the time that us use this wonderful and powerful moment of goodness and to send out our thoughts of loving kindness to our loved ones. Of course, first to yourself, may you be well and happy and so on. All those important good wishes you have for yourself. Say it to yourself so that you're reminded and you're strengthened. Then send out those thoughts to your near and dear ones, people who are important to you, and people who are far away that you want to be near to you. people who are in difficulties. Anyone else, just send your thoughts to them, wish them well and happy. And finally, we will show our gratitude to the three jewels by saluting them. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivadimi. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.